on YouTube. I'm just checking. There we go. Okay, we are now live on YouTube as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. If you don't know me yet, my name is Sarah. I'm Director of Nutrition at BioAccelerator. My job is to help individuals live a more anti-inflammatory lifestyle to reduce the inflammation that could be induced by food and lifestyle choices, and instead prime their bodies and their cells for longevity and health. So today's topic is very specific. We're going to talk about aging gracefully, anti-aging, products that are used for anti-aging that may or may not be good for you, that may or may not be safe. I'm going to share at the very end some of my favorite products that I use, both things that I take internally and also things that I actually put on my skin. I do not have any very interesting or complicated skincare routines, so I don't even have skincare products really to share with you, but just some interesting things that I find are a great addition to my routine. I will answer all questions at the end. And you can also send me an email anytime, sarah@bioaccelerator.com, if you have any questions that you want answered directly. I do these webinars every single month on different topics. So if there's anything that you want to learn about, please send me a message and let me know, and we're going to make them as tailored to you as possible. Next month is all about the brain. I'm going to talk about different conditions like ADD, ADHD, where they came from, why some people's brains operate differently, how to optimize your brain even better for whatever line of work you're in, for whatever type of learning you're in, and how to prevent neurodegenerative disorders and diseases. So for today, let's talk about aging from the inside out. All right, can you see my screen? Someone thumbs up if you can. Perfect. All right, so today is all about healthy habits for aging gracefully, a non-toxic approach. I'm also going to emphasize the importance of health span. When I talk about longevity, when I talk about extending our lives, it's not just about living longer. We are living longer statistically, but our health span, the amount of years where we are able to do the activities that we want to do, participate in community life and family life, is shrinking. So this is all about emphasizing the extension of our health span. And of course, you will look better when you feel better, when you take care of yourself on a cellular level, when you take care of your cellular function. But what this is really about is not the external, it's the internal. And people who are healthy, no matter what they look like, they radiate, they glow, it's contagious, you're drawn to them. Health is the one thing that cannot be faked. It cannot. You can put all kinds of stuff in and on your face and in and on your body, but at the end of the day, it is not something that can be faked. It is something that has to be cultivated. It is something that has to be worked for, and it is a lifetime job. But as a result, you get a much better health span. When we think of aging, people tend to think of the physical sides because that's the most noticeable thing, right? Oh, my hair is going gray. It's harder to put on muscle. I have less collagen, and I'm going to talk about that today. Skin is maybe a bit dull, age spots, maybe my nails and hair are thinning, which is also related to vitamins, minerals, and collagen. But they worry less for some reason about the way worse stuff than the physical, than the aesthetic, which is a lowered immune system. Why does that happen? Reduced strength, different health conditions that are associated with aging, but aren't always associated with aging in healthy populations, like in the blue zones where people are living the longest and thriving. And also retinas and walls of ear canal become thinner, AKA you don't see as well, and maybe you don't hear as well, and you're kind of yelling as you get older. So these things happen when our body is not able to regenerate cells quick enough. Things start to deteriorate. If you look at this list, you'll notice not all of these things happen to everyone, which means that these are not automatic default things associated with the aging process. There are people that live very long, healthy lives, and these things do not happen to them. So what is the difference and why? Normal aging, these things seem to happen to most people. You're a little more tired. You might have some mild forgetfulness, gray hair, reduced sight. But abnormal aging is things like loss of feeling in extremities, numbness, cataracts, very serious eye issues like macular degeneration, becoming very easily tired, having very severe mood swings, behavioral outbursts, losing your memory, very dramatic hair loss, deafness, blindness, being very frail. People kind of associate frail with being older, but actually people who keep up their physical fitness, they continue to go to the gym, they continue to move their bodies. That is not a normal sign of aging, and that's not something that is automatic. And dementia, of course, as well. I'm going to talk about that in the brain segment and a little bit more in my brain health webinar. But malnutrition is associated with aging quicker, but it can come in two forms. Malnutrition can be not eating enough, and malnutrition can be eating too much of foods that do not have any nutrient density. So what you want to do is optimize for foods. I like to call them superfoods, and I'll explain what that term is, but foods that offer you the most amount of nutrients for the least amount of calories. Like a bag of chips, for example, would be very, very low on the scale of foods that are going to offer you a lot of nutrition for calories. Whereas something like a raw dehydrated green powder or a big salad or a bowl of fresh fruit, these things are going to offer you a lot of nutrients for less calories. And so that will allow you to maintain a healthy body weight as you age, but also take in all the nutrients that you need to thrive. The foods we eat also affect epigenetics. Some of you might know this term, some of you might not. The very simple explanation of epigenetics is the light switch of gene expression. You live a certain way and a gene that you might have dormant, maybe a gene for breast cancer, a gene for some other autoimmune disorder, something that you believe runs in your family, that gene will switch on if you have a lifestyle that allows it to switch on. That gene might switch off or never turn on if your lifestyle does not allow it. They have found that women with a gene that predicates them to be very likely to have breast cancer actually have a lower risk of developing breast cancer than a woman without that gene who does not eat the standard American diet, who's eating a very healthy lifestyle. So your genes do not determine your outcome, but of course they play a role. Some people are dealt a different genetic hand, and it's not always fair. It doesn't mean that these things don't exist, but it's empowering to know that you have a lot of control over whether or not these genes express. The foods that we eat on a daily basis, this is where our power comes in. This is where we have control. This is what leads to the epigenetic changes that either accelerate aging or they can actually slow down aging compared to other people eating a different diet that is not supportive of cellular health. One of the most important non-food, non-dietary related things you can do is to exercise. This slows down aging in one of the most, let's say, easy to track ways. It is one of those things where there's no gray area there in research as far as exercise goes. It slows down the aging process, and I'm going to let you know exactly how much they found as well. So if you read this here, calculations based on the Harvard alumni study suggest that men who exercise regularly can gain about 2 hours of life expectancy for every hour of exercise. That is an amazing trade-off. However, that does not apply to individuals who work out very sporadically. This is what the research has shown. So if you work out regularly all the time, every hour of exercise can buy you about 2 hours of life expectancy compared to your peers who do not exercise. However, if you just exercise an hour here, an hour there, maybe once or twice a week, that same benefit was not found. And then tragically, less than half of adults over 65 in the US are considered to be doing enough exercise to stay healthy. And more than half of them suffer from at least 2 diseases in the US as well, which is very, very sad. So that's something that is preventable regardless of diet, socioeconomic status. There's many, many ways to stay healthy. You can play sports, you can go for a jog, you can, one of my favorite recommendations for people is to actually get one of those little mini trampolines. They're called rebounders. Those are fantastic because not only is it good for cardio, and there's like free workouts on YouTube and stuff, but you're also moving your lymphatic system. You're getting lymphatic drainage. You're moving stagnant lymph. And when you're able to move that through the body, that's also great for anti-aging as well. So that's one of my favorites. Very affordable. And there's many other options for exercise. As long as you're moving your body, we like to say that more than 20 minutes a day of moderate intensity is enough to keep you healthy. Hydration is the next anti-aging secret that is not a secret. I find a lot of people in the biohacking anti-aging world, they tend to go for the really extreme stuff and they tend to ignore the very basics, like sleeping, not drinking alcohol, and drinking enough water. They don't really, those are, I guess, considered to be obvious, but people are actually suffering from dehydration a lot more than you would think, especially if you live in a hot climate, especially if you have more added stress on your body because of any sort of health condition. So there's no magic formula for how much water to drink. This is a pretty good guide. So you want to drink about half of your body weight in pounds in ounces of water. Not perfect, but definitely a pretty good guide. A good way to tell if this is working for you is your pee almost clear, but not completely clear. You don't want it to be completely clear because you might be overhydrating. So that's a pretty good guide alongside this calculation here to try and aim for a really good amount of water. If you live in a tropical climate, if you're sweating a lot, if you think you're dehydrated, if you use saunas, which are also amazing for longevity, skin, and anti-aging, the literature is really clear on that too. I recommend taking a little pinch of sea salt, Celtic or Himalayan, dissolving it in your mouth, not in the water, to fully absorb it, and then drinking water. You can swish a little bit of water around so it doesn't burn, but drink your water after, and that will help replenish your electrolytes and your minerals and actually keep you hydrated. So for most people, the type of salt they fear is this highly processed salt or, saline that's added to chicken breasts and other meat to add to the weight, but a little bit of a pure, clean salt dissolved in your mouth after you do something strenuous. If you live in a sweaty climate, if you're sweating, that can be very, very helpful. And I've seen that help a lot of people, even just to plump up their skin and to make them look and feel more hydrated. The next thing that I'm going to suggest for anti-aging is to avoid toxins in personal care products that can accelerate aging. So a lot of the makeup products that women are using, and ironically, a lot of the anti-aging skincare products that women are using, sunscreens, which that could be an amazing skincare beauty tool. I'm not actually a fan of slathering sunscreen all over your body and avoiding the sun, but a little bit on your face to mitigate any sort of sun damage can be great. But if it's full of toxins, it's not made of natural things, it's full of preservatives, parabens, that is actually going to be doing more harm than good. You're actually going to be having to process all of that stuff through your body, your kidneys, your liver, your detox organs, your lymphatic system might get backed up. So trampoline, sauna, water, healthy eating, and try to avoid products that can accelerate aging with toxins. So I've talked about toxic beauty products before. I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but I'm sharing my favorite resource, which is the Environmental Working Group Skin Deep Database. It doesn't have every product on there. If a product's not on there, what you can do is you can look up the individual ingredients, which takes a while and is annoying. But once you know, then you just stick to the same companies, which is what I do. I'm a big fan of transparency with companies. I always recommend for people, whatever you're buying, if you're buying superfoods, supplements, anything you're putting in your body, ask for third-party testing. If a company doesn't have third-party testing, and I talked about this a lot in my supplement webinar, which is on the BioX YouTube if anyone wants to see it, but you want to see third-party testing. And with products like this, you want to see how safe the individual ingredients are. I personally try not to use any products that are greater than a 3. It goes from 1 to 10. But above 3, you're getting in a gray area. Above 5, I would say that's a little bit dangerous. I definitely wouldn't give it to children. So that's a resource that I use when buying products, and they launch a sunscreen guide every year as well. The next one, toxins are also in food. So glyphosate, another one that I'm going to dive deeper into in a future webinar, but I touch on this one all the time because this is one of the biggest threats to human health today, I believe, in our food system. This article was published talking about how glyphosate, they believe, is making people age faster. This is this toxic herbicide that is sprayed on genetically modified foods, but also some foods that are not genetically modified. And I'm going to list what those are. And this can accelerate aging for a few different ways. Of course, it's toxic to the body. So there's a burden now on your kidneys and your liver. On top of that, though, it actually acts like a mild antibiotic in the way it disrupts your microbiome. It allows more pathogenic bacteria to breed by killing off some of your healthy, beneficial bacteria. Over 55% of the types of bacteria that are beneficial to the human microbiome can be negatively affected by glyphosate. And your gut health is one of the biggest determinants, I would say, of your overall health, of how you age, of how you digest food, of how you extract nutrients from food. So avoiding this is extremely important. I also always talk about Biomedic, which is the only product, and I recommend this to everybody, every webinar, because it's the only product on planet Earth with a clinical trial to prove that it detoxes glyphosate from food. So if you have any questions about supplements, shoot me an email, sarah@bioaccelerator.com, and I can go into further detail with this. But avoiding glyphosate and also detoxing glyphosate at the same time is crucial. These are some of the top glyphosate-laden crops. They are sprayed the most. Corn, alfalfa, cotton, which unfortunately a lot of clothing is made out of. So some of that glyphosate does rub off on skin. Wash your clothes thoroughly a few times before you wear them. They're spraying it on grains. No surprise, right? Gluten intolerances are on the rise. Oat intolerances now, people are not able to break down things like oats and other grains. It's because they're being soaked with glyphosate. It was found by a lot of farmers that even if the product itself isn't GMO, things like nuts, soybeans, everything on this list, sometimes even lentils and chickpeas and other plant-based staples. What glyphosate does is it dries it out very effectively. It's a good desiccant, which means that they get less mold and they get more money out of their crop. But that means for you, the consumer, that these foods were likely soaked in glyphosate right before they were picked or afterwards to dry them out further. And they have not been washed. Not that a lot of it would come out, but it would maybe help a little, but they've not been washed before they end up on your plate. So, or in your grocery basket. So try to buy these foods organic wherever you can. And I always recommend taking Biomedic for regular maintenance to actually remove glyphosate from the body. When you have a lot of glyphosate or other toxins in the body, this is the process of cellular repair that will be impaired. It's called autophagy. Autophagy is how your body cleans out old, dead, damaged cells and regenerates newer, healthier cells. It's basically your biological cleaning process. And you need to have a very effective system to perform this process effectively so that you age in a way where you do not have all those very unwanted effects that are not associated with normal aging. When toxins start to build up in our cells, this can actually permanently alter the gene of that cell, making it either difficult or even impossible for the cell to then repair itself. When this happens, the cell can't survive and it definitely can't thrive. So that's now up to us to cultivate new healthy cells when this happens. In most parts of the body, we have a pretty quick turnover, but there are two types of cells that have very slow turnover rates. So very, very important to protect our bodies as much as possible. One is our neurons in our brains. They do not regenerate very quickly. This takes a lot longer than other areas of the body. And the second one, the cardiomyocytes, so our heart muscle. That's why they say cardiovascular disease starts sometimes decades before. So these are areas of the body that we want to take care of. You want to protect your body with a healthy, clean diet by avoiding a lot of these pesticides. You want to avoid diets really high in processed oils, saturated fats, highly processed foods. And for your brain, you want to protect your brain as much as possible. You want to avoid things like heavy metals. I've even seen in health products like B12 shots, for example. A lot of people who are vegan, vegetarian, worried about B12 because they don't eat animal products, and it should be in soil, but our soils aren't great. They go to get a B12 shot and from the naturopath. And sure enough, I've looked at the ingredients and a lot of these will have aluminum in them. So what is that? You're taking B12 for the brain, and at the same time, you're injecting one of the worst things you could possibly inject in your body for your brain. So avoiding heavy metals, avoiding injecting things. I'm going to get into the injecting things part a little bit more later as well. And just having a healthy diet, healthy fats, and making sure that you eat a lot of antioxidants, vitamin C, which I'm going to touch on as well. There are different types of fasts as well. Fasting is great for autophagy and for cellular repair. There's intermittent fasting, which is the most popular. Almost everybody's doing this right now. It's a huge trend. And the reason I say it's a huge trend is because it's great, but it's great in the sense that it's a tool. It's not as great for autophagy and cellular repair as people thought, because it takes about 18 hours for our bodies to be in a fasted state before we go into a deep state of cellular repair. People who intermittent fast, who eat in a small window, by the 18th hour, they're usually eating at that point. So when researchers did a systematic review where they looked at the overall body of evidence on intermittent fasting to see why it works for people or if it works for people, they found that it does work because it automatically makes people more intentional about what they're eating and they control for calories. Quite simple. You have less of a window to eat. You think about what you're going to eat more. You're more prepared. You're more intentional, and you don't snack. But when they controlled for calories and for the type of healthy foods, there was actually no difference between intermittent fasting and just calorie restriction or calorie control in a healthy diet. So I say this because I see a lot of women who dive into intermittent fasting because they're trying to lose weight, and it ends up affecting them hormonally, especially premenopausal women of childbearing age. skipping breakfast, having a coffee because you saw some biohacker do it in his ice bath in the morning, starving yourself till 2 p.m. and then reaching for a piece of bread because you're so hungry and your blood sugar's dipped. That is not helping your hormones. That is not going to help you maintain the body that you want. And that, most importantly, is not going to help you with your hormonal and cellular health. So eat at whatever time of day you want. It doesn't actually make a difference. If you want benefits from juicing, you have to do something more like a 24-hour water fast or a juice fast or a prolonged fast if you're somebody that is knowledgeable and comfortable with something like that. But intermittent fasting is a fantastic tool because it provides guidelines, which human beings thrive on consistency and guidelines. But don't think that that is the end all be all of longevity and cellular health. It is just a tool. Next, I'm sharing these images with you because I was searching for the images to put this presentation together. And this is the website that I use, which is fantastic. But I typed in anti-aging, and these are pretty much the majority of the photos that came up on the first page. All of them involve injecting things into people's faces. So it's really crazy. And the reason I'm sharing this is because this is society's idea now of anti-aging. When we think of anti-aging, we don't think of exercise and drinking lots of water and mitigating our stress and calming our nervous system. Apparently, according to these search engines, or at least what they are trying to funnel our searches towards, is injecting things in the face, is products. It's selling you things and selling you things that can actually be very damaging to your health. I know a lot of individuals in the health world that feel a lot of pressure as practitioners, as nutritionists, as dietitians, as influencers, as people who even just share healthy recipes, to appear like they look extremely young and they never age. They don't want to have a wrinkle on their forehead, a wrinkle on their face, because they think that's a sign that they're actually not that healthy. And we need to get away from this as a society, this collective delusion that any sign of getting older means that we're not healthy and there's something wrong with us. We need to start emphasizing as a collective, healthy ways of being, healthy ways of eating, and healthy ways of living, and not fearing the aging process and not fearing any changes happening to our face as a sign of a reduced usefulness to society, which a lot of women have voiced to me that that's how they feel. And it's not just women, a lot of men are using these products now too. If you look in the bottom corner, there's something going on called Brotox now. A lot of men are getting Botox. And there's actually an even crazier one that my friend told me about recently. He's a doctor. We're going to do an Instagram live on this, but it's called Scrotox, where men are even injecting Botox in their scrotums so that they're smoother. This is how crazy things are getting. We're now injecting neurotoxins all over the place. I've heard about people injecting it to reduce cellulite, which I don't even think could possibly work. And the danger in this, I'm going to share now, is that we don't know what the long-term side effects are of a lot of these drugs. I know what the short-term side effects are, and a lot of them are absolutely horrific, and people have no idea. And because I'm a health practitioner, I unfortunately do get to see and hear a lot more of these adverse side effects than the average person. People come to me, and one of the main things that they say to me is, I never would have done it if I knew that this could happen. So I'm sharing this today, and I'm not going to go too deep into this. I'm going to give a quick overview, but I'm sharing this today because I am a big advocate always of informed consent. That might mean that you watch this and you think, that's okay, that's still for me, I still think it's worth it. And I empower you to make the choice that is best for you. But I'm doing this for the women and men who might not have known the effects. There's people that are given Botox for migraines, for excess sweating, without even looking at the root cause, which is another issue, but they aren't fully aware and they aren't given proper informed consent. So in the past as well, I've said to people things like, well, it's probably not that harmful to use these products like Botox and fillers if overall you live a healthy lifestyle, you're regularly detoxing. And I actually fully do not think that anymore. I do not think that these products are safe for anybody. I would not recommend them to anybody at any age. And I'm going to share about why. So first and foremost, we're seeing Botox injections in foreheads actually altering brain activity linked to emotions. It's making people have issues seeing and understanding and interpreting the emotions of others, because actually one of the ways that our physiology, our brains work is when we see other people showing emotion, we actually unknowingly, probably, unless we're looking in the mirror, we would be mirroring that a little bit in our own faces. And that helps our body to actually process what is going on. It's actually sending signals of, oh, this is happening, this feeling's happening. When your forehead is completely frozen, the paralysis of these muscles forbids forbids you from mimicking expressions that you see. This also causes a deprivation of sensory inputs. So this affects the hands, they found. And this was in a New York Post. This was Psychology Today. And the other article, if anyone wants any of these, by the way, shoot me an email, sarah@bioaccelerator.com, and I will send you the articles. But they found that it was cortical brain activity related to the hands, following even a small loss of facial movement, any tiny loss, any tiny muscle that isn't able to move that could have before. And later studies have shown that actually these effects might be more widespread. There might be unintended consequences throughout the entire human nervous system. But of course, this is not being studied because the manufacturer of this product is certainly not going to spend millions of dollars funding this research to find out just how harmful their product is. So I say definitely err on the side of caution. I've heard of issues of muscle atrophy and issues nowhere near the injection site. It can travel through the body, even though we are told that it can't. All neurotoxins, it doesn't matter which brand. Some of them are marketed as being cleaner and healthier than others, which isn't true. They all contain botulism toxin, which is one of botulinum toxin, which causes botulism. It's one of the most dangerous toxins on the planet. It comes with a black box warning, which is the most serious warning that the FDA can share. It is a warning that this product can cause death. The second ingredient is human albumin, which is a protein from human blood. And there's a great Instagram account here that I shared. It's at Botox and Filler Side Effects. I'm actually hopefully going to be interviewing the woman that runs it soon. And she's just sharing all of the different things that are actually recorded as being side effects. And these have been submitted to the FDA. These are proper recorded side effects. So there's a big list of them here. But even things like anxiety, brain fog, hair loss, and dry skin, those are minor ones. Some of the more extreme ones are extreme nerve pain. I have spoken to a woman who has been in extreme nerve pain for a very long time. And chronic pain is one of the most tragic things that can happen to an individual. Your quality of life is destroyed immediately. And all she was trying to do is get rid of her migraines. So just sharing all of these different things. Another one as well that women wouldn't necessarily associate, and now men too, I should say, now that men are also using these products, is loss of bladder control, believe it or not. I think that one was recorded more in women. I haven't heard of that happening in men yet, but again, early days with these products. This generation is going to be the first generation that has potentially been using this for decades. So if any of these things start to happen to you, please discontinue use of this product. If you've never used this product, I'm going to offer you some safe alternatives so that hopefully you never feel called to do that. But also important to understand that the toxin can spread weeks or months later. Also, dermal fillers. People think that these are a little bit safer, but they can pass bacteria and cause serious infections. Once they're in, they're in. These things are not easy to remove from the body. Sometimes fillers can actually migrate down the face. And a lot of practitioners, they say something like, well, we'll just dissolve it. It's not a big deal. But I also have been reading about how what they use to dissolve it, the hyaluronidase it's called, can actually cause collagen breakdown in your own skin, your own collagen. So maybe you get a lump from a filler, you go to dissolve it, and all of a sudden your own collagen in that area. Some women have reported that their skin got loose and wasn't tight and was kind of sagging down afterwards, and there's no way to reverse it. So once these are in, they're in. Please think twice about everything that you put into your body. Hopefully, after this, some of you will reconsider, or if you continue using these products, just make sure that your overall health is very, very good. And please watch for any signs of any adverse reactions and just take care of your nervous system. Things that you can do to detox and to have more anti-aging benefits are fasting. The types of fast that I mentioned earlier, you can do a one-day fast on water or green juice. This is a great way to achieve autophagy. I'm not really a fan of long fasts, longer than 3 days, because you start to lose muscle. I think you can get amazing benefits just doing a one day every once in a while, or if you're looking for something deeper, maybe to get some of these products out of your body, up to 3 days. IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, is a hormone that's found naturally in blood. So its primary role is to manage the effects of growth hormone within the body. We need this when we're growing up because it helps our tissues grow. It helps us grow taller. But as an adult, you don't want to have overstimulation of IGF-1 signaling, because this can promote what's called diseases of civilization, things like cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Dairy products are one of the foods, pasteurized conventional dairy products. These studies were not done on raw milk, to clarify, but pasteurized dairy products significantly increase serum IGF-1 levels in humans, which could be linked to a higher risk of certain cancers and other diseases. So I recommend people avoid those for longevity. Pasteurized dairy products are not a good longevity food. Also very high protein diets, which we see in a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of athletes, a lot of individuals on very, very high amounts of animal proteins. It seems like the recipe for longevity is to consume animal products in moderation, and in some of the blue zones as well, in very high moderation. They were not consuming a lot of animal products at all. One of the blue zones, the areas on the planet that have some of the best longevity, lowest disease rates, in Loma Linda, California, they were strict vegans and vegetarians. So they didn't have any animal protein at all. So you can live a long, healthy life without animal protein. You can live a long, healthy life with some animal protein, but we don't have evidence that anyone is living a long, healthy diet on a long, healthy life, on an extremely high protein diet. Developing slower is indicative of a longer, healthier lifespan. We see that with humans. We see that with other animals in the animal kingdom. Taking things like growth hormones, which we see in the bodybuilding world, is pro-aging. It might give some temporary anti-aging effects like smoothing the skin and giving more energy, but on an internal basis, it is pro-aging. This one isn't going to be a surprise to most people. Ultra-processed foods, they expedite the aging of your cells. But for some people, they just think of these foods as like, oh, it's a bit too many calories. It's not healthy for that reason, but I'm a healthy weight. But there's more to these foods than just the excess calories. The ultra-processed food also is linked to short telomeres. I'm going to touch on those in elderly populations. So it doesn't mean you can never eat these foods. We don't want to be food phobic, and we don't want to ever completely demonize any sort of food. But just overall, the more ultra-processed foods are a part of your diet, the worse it is for your telomere length, for the health of your DNA and the health of your cells. Now I'm going to touch quick on collagen. So what is it? It's a protein made up of amino acids. It kind of acts like Velcro or like a thick tape holding your tissues, your muscles, and your skin together. It promotes the elasticity, the stretchiness of your skin. If you have a lot of elasticity, you have less wrinkles. And as you get older, your ability to produce collagen does go down. How quickly depends on your overall lifestyle. But it's not just about your skin, it's also joints. A lot of people with joint pain as they age and different conditions that affect the joints, they tend to have low collagen production. So what do? We're going to build it out of protein, silica, antioxidants, and vitamins. So for protein, consume protein-dense foods for better collagen synthesis. So amino acids, the building blocks of protein, they help your body produce more collagen, which is a protein. So plant proteins, some of them as well, like this one here is dark berry protein. This one I love. I'm taking this right now. This is an anti-aging collagen support protein. It doesn't have animal protein in it, or animal collagen in it. I want to emphasize, it doesn't have animal protein either. But it actually helps your body produce more with clean amino acids, with antioxidants and vitamins. So I love taking really clean proteins for that reason. You want to stick to plant proteins and organic proteins. When taking protein powders, make sure that they're heavy metal tested, make sure that they're glyphosate tested. And other things that are really great for protein: watercress and spinach, broccoli, and bok choy. Believe it or not, those foods, even though they're not what we would consider super high protein, they also are great for collagen synthesis, and they do contain protein. I like to add things like watercress and spinach to smoothies. Silica is a natural mineral. It's found in plants and foods grown in rich soil. So this mineral helps to strengthen your hair, skin, and nails. It's found in foods like bamboo shoots, which aren't a super common food in North America, but you can get those sometimes like in jars at the grocery store. Horsetail. Horsetail is not an actual horsetail. A horsetail is, it's an herb. It's a type of grass. Algae, I love chlorella and spirulina. Those are some of my favorite algae that contain silica. Those are fantastic for your skin, your hair, your nails. I love those. And dark leafy greens. This is a product as well that contains horsetail and bamboo silica. Renew hair, skin, and nails. I love that one. It's herbal collagen support. That is something that can just help you to increase your body's intake of silica and to produce a little bit more on top of an overall healthy diet. I always tell people that when I recommend things like superfoods and supplements, it's always in addition to a healthy diet and to all the things that I'm recommending here. But that combination is like the cocktail for longevity, is to take care of yourself on all angles, to make sure what's going in your body is supportive of healthy aging, to make sure what's going on your body is supportive of healthy aging, and moving your body, drinking water, avoiding glyphosate-laden foods. Next are antioxidants. So anthocyanidins, I don't know how to pronounce that one. These are basically the pigments. They give plants their super vibrant colors. So for example, we have a lot of those in tart cherries. I'm always talking about tart cherry juice. I love that one before bed. It is one of the best evidence-based things to help you produce more melatonin and sleep better, but also is super rich in antioxidants. This is found in not only dark cherries, but also berries. There's an algae called astaxanthin that is one of the most antioxidant rich foods. It's very red. That has a lot of these bright pigments that give plants their vibrant colors. So just think of beets as well, just dark pigmented foods that are rich in antioxidants. These are fantastic for you. They can help your body produce collagen. They can also support clear skin. And phytochemicals, which are the naturally occurring plant chemicals that we find only in plant foods. These fight free radicals, which are basically toxins that cause too much oxidative stress, cause us to age quicker. Free radicals can come from an unhealthy diet, from smoking, from living in an environment where there is really poor pollution in the air. And even just not exercising, not moving your body. So taking things that are dark and pigmented and antioxidant rich can really help not only with age-related skin conditions like wrinkles, but also diseases. They're known to be protective against heart disease as well. And vitamins, vitamin C. Vitamin C is very important for collagen production. We need amino acids and vitamin C, but nobody is absolutely certain the exact pathways. It's believed that vitamin C is needed in order to store collagen in the body. That hasn't been completely proven. It's a theory, but we know that high amounts of vitamin C and high amounts of very, very clean amino acids with the antioxidants and the silica create really healthy collagen in the body. And you can train your body to be an excellent manufacturer of collagen. You do not have to take it in and eat it from animal-based sources and make your body convert it and have the inflammation that goes with it. You can train your body to be an effective collagen producing machine. Vitamin C is also super important to prevent cognitive decline and brain aging. The literature on that is really substantial as well. So see, we get to have the brain benefits, the cellular health benefits, and the beauty benefits from these very powerful antioxidants. These are some of the whole foods you can get it from, as well as if you want to supplement on top. So whole foods, red peppers, believe it or not, are one of the most vitamin C rich foods. They have more vitamin C than a lot of citruses. Cantaloupe is great as well. Different types of melons, but navel oranges are still really good. Broccoli, believe it or not, a cup of cooked broccoli has 102 milligrams. So the recommended daily intake every single day for women, it's only 75 milligrams, and for men, it's 90. Personally, I think that's way, way, way too low. You're not going to be a collagen producing machine with that. I like to aim for at least 500 milligrams of vitamin C per day. So you can kind of look at this little chart here. So combining the vitamin C with the amino acids is a fantastic way to become a super producer of collagen. Another thing you can do that has nothing to do with food is intense cold. I know we're all sick of seeing influencers in ice baths and cryotherapy, but it does actually really work. It boosts your body's collagen production. So I don't know about cold showers, if that's actually enough, but it has to be intense cold. So if you have access to an ice bath once in a while, dip your head in, expose your body to intense cold. It actually does work to boost collagen, and it's good for the immune system as well. So there is some science behind it. It's not just an Instagram trend. antioxidants and superfoods. So I'm going to talk about what superfoods are and what that means, but antioxidants, as I mentioned, they're important for combating oxidative stress and inflammation. So this basically contributes to accelerated brain aging, mental health conditions, and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. So the more antioxidants you have in your diet, the better. Think of the beautiful pigmented plant-based foods when thinking of antioxidants. And when I say superfoods, superfoods are, as mentioned, just foods that contain a lot of nutrients and antioxidants and benefits as compared to normal foods, let's say. They just are more bang for your buck. It's kind of an overused term. It doesn't necessarily have a clinical meaning, but basically, the calorie to antioxidant ratio looks really good. This food is absolutely worth the caloric intake. It's going to do a lot for your body. And if you look at all the beautiful colors there as well, so good for your skin, so good for your cells, and they taste really good too. You can also get antioxidants from spices. Herbs and spices are very, very overlooked. Things like turmeric, cloves, cinnamon, oregano, basil, things that you can sprinkle on food. So when you're cooking food, if you're making pasta, dump in a bunch of different herbs for more antioxidants. In the evening, make a turmeric latte, add a little bit of black pepper so you absorb it better, and a little bit of a frothed non-dairy milk. And that's a great way to add even more antioxidants, which are so good for your cells and so good for your skin. I already mentioned tart cherry juice concentrate as being one of my favorites because that has so much clinical evidence for anti-aging and for sleep. And of course, sleeping well at night is also one of the best beauty and anti-aging tools. So also going to bed at a consistent time, trying to get to bed before 10:30 seems to be the sweet spot for the most deepest restful sleep for the most amount of people. Other things that are red too, kidney beans, cranberries, those also are antioxidant rich foods. And I already mentioned astaxanthin. This is the highest antioxidant food in the world. It comes from a red algae. So that's another one also that is great for anybody who has very sensitive skin. If you go outside and you immediately burn, astaxanthin will actually help to mitigate your skin sensitivity to the sun. So that's a great tool as well, but not if you pop one and then go outside. You have to actually take it regularly for a couple of weeks. I usually tell people about 21 days, but that's another one that I like to recommend as well. And finally, plant foods, as I mentioned on the antioxidant topic, they are packed with nutrients, antioxidants, polyphenols, folate, vitamin C. Clinical trials that show that study aging have found that people who eat plant-based foods regularly are up to 50% less likely to develop chronic diseases that are more likely to present themselves during the aging process. So things like diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. And that's just people who eat these foods consistently, which shows you that most people are actually not eating plant foods on a regular basis. They're eating highly processed foods. It's very sad. So incorporate a lot of plant foods and as many different ones as you can. I mentioned in my gut health webinar that people who have some of the best gut health, they're eating about 30 or more different types of plants per week. But if that sounds like a lot, as I mentioned, superfoods, raw dehydrated green powders, these things can help get you there because a lot of them will have, anywhere from 5 to even 15 different types of greens and plants and dehydrated fruits and things in there. Then for aging, you obviously, as mentioned, do not want to be on a very high protein diet according to the scientific data, but people ask me, what is the best type of meat? And the best type of meat for you to consume is whichever one was not factory farmed, contains the least amount of hormones, the least amount of added steroids, antibiotics. You want to just get as close to nature, as close to a natural diet as possible. I know some people who go and buy what they think are local chickens, only to find out that a lot of those chickens are actually fed with GMO corn and soy as the bulk of their diet, even though they're from a small local farm. So you really have to do your research with animal products. Unfortunately, the modern food system prioritizes profit. It does not prioritize health. So if you're eating meat, you need to really do your research and find out what these animals are being fed. And you need to get whatever you can afford the best quality of to avoid as many added drugs and hormones in your food as possible. I mentioned telomeres already, so I'm just going to touch on this quick, but these are basically these little caps at the end of our DNA strands. They protect our chromosomes. As we get older, they shorten. But you can actually take telomere tests to see how long your telomeres are, which is a really good indicator of longevity. So when they eventually become too short to function, you have cellular aging, reduced cellular function, and this happens at an accelerated rate if you are not living a healthy lifestyle. If you aren't eating antioxidants, if you don't have good sources of clean amino acids, if you aren't eating a lot of plant-based foods, if you aren't taking care of your body, your telomeres will shrink and you will physically age sooner. Oh, I just lost my screen share for a sec. Sorry, guys. Sorry, everyone. Just giving 1 second to pull that back up again. There we go. Okay, perfect. Can you guys see the screen again? We're back. Okay, perfect. So these are things that shorten telomere length and make you age quicker. Alcohol and chronic stress, smoking, obesity, lack of exercise. Some of these are obvious. Lack of sunlight, though, I want to emphasize that one because it is very, very important. If you don't live in a place that gets a lot of sun, when you do have the option, even go outside, even when it's cloudy, try to have your arms, maybe your chest exposed to get some sunlight, because this can make a really big difference. So in addition to all those other things, lack of sunlight can actually shorten telomere length as well. Wound healing is faster with sufficient light exposure from the sun. So actually in spring and summer, some people might notice that their wounds actually heal quicker if you get a cut or scrape, if you hurt yourself. And also in your hair cells, turnover of stem cells are triggered by exposure to sunlight. And that's why also for stem cell procedures that actually help with skin and hair, these are safe anti-aging procedures. They also work really well because it is stem cells in your skin and your hair that actually are responsible for growth and turnover. The cells that give rise to your hair cells are stem cells. Other things that damage DNA: radiation, toxins, chemical agents, smoking, pollution, poor nutrition, chronic inflammation. But some good longevity tips: a Mediterranean diet. And a Mediterranean diet isn't what most people think it is. The real Mediterranean diet was very plant forward, very plant-based. It wasn't super heavy in olive oil. It wasn't super heavy in meat and fish. That's kind of the modern Mediterranean diet, but it was balanced. It was colorful. It had a lot of different plant-based foods. Managing stress is so important for longevity. You can have the best diet in the world. You can do all of the cryotherapy and the cold plunges and the saunas and everything else. And if you are chronically stressed, if your nervous system is in fight or flight, you are not going to be able to heal. I'm doing another webinar this summer as well on healing, how it works in the body and how our nervous system plays a role. And I'm going to dive deeper into that. But for now, just focusing on things like breath work. And if anyone wants, I can email you my favorite breath work. It's 10 minutes long. It's fantastic. Just a guided breathing exercise, some meditation, some yoga. These things are evidence-based to actually help with longevity and to help with your cellular health. Of course, spending time with loved ones, people in the blue zones who are living long, healthy lives. They all have family around, they have community around, they have friends around, they're not isolated. And that is possibly the most important longevity lesson. We really are supposed to thrive in community. Things that you can do to repair damaged DNA: some fasting, not excessively, and don't feel the need to intermittent fast. If you don't feel called, you do not need to skip breakfast. Some meditation and breath work. Saunas and steam rooms are fantastic for repairing damaged DNA with regular use, believe it or not. Plant forward diets, movement, regular exercise, antioxidants, omega-3s, avoiding toxins in what you put in and on your body, high vitamin C intake, and sunlight. So that is all for the webinar portion. I'm going to answer questions now, and I'm also going to share a few things that, because I said I was going to talk about alternatives, and it's not just a healthy diet. So things that work